Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of I Could Never Be here on the incredible Popcorn Talk Network. We're nearing the end of season 5 of I Could Never Be. And when I think about that, I just think back to the incredible stories that we heard on this season, the incredible stories that we heard on past seasons. Again, this show is all about inspiring you to live your best life and to help you see that the people that you see on TV screens and movie screens, or you go to their concert, they're just like you. They've gone through the same struggles. You might put them on a pedestal, but you can be right up there on that pedestal. And sometimes they got to that pedestal by climbing and by clawing. And if you do that same thing, you can reach that same journey. If you look at the calendar now, we're into June, which is wild to think about, that we are almost halfway through the year. And so I could use that analogy of the glass half full versus the glass half empty. And I could go that way. It's true. You can look at this and be like, how we already through it and achieve anything that I wanted in 2019. You still have half the year to do so. So it's okay. You're not behind. You're exactly where you need to be. Today's advice for a better life, though, focuses on money and wealth and riches. And the advice is that to not confuse money for riches. A lot of people think, oh, I don't have a lot of money. Oh, I have $1,000 in the bank account or $100 in the bank account. That doesn't mean that you're not rich. Riches are not money. Some of the richest people in the world once had $1 billion idea with $10 to their name. That's all. They had an incredible support system or family or ideas, and that made them rich. And then they used that to be able to make the money. And as our guest told me before the show, some of the richest people in the world don't have money, and they're also the happiest people in the world, because sometimes money is not where it is. Sometimes money just causes, more money, more problems. Y'all know where I'm going with that. Y'all don't know where we're going today on this show, but I do, and it's going to be an incredible ride. An incredible actress in studio. She's in so many projects, including a brand new Netflix movie, Good Sam, which is an incredible movie I just watched. She's also in The Good Place, another one of my favorite shows. Also plays Sabine in Star Wars Rebels. I am so excited, so why wait any longer? Let's introduce her, Tiya Sircar. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
For joining us in studio.
I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you very much. And I want to compliment you, because I feel like, in looking up your career and looking up the number of projects that you've been in, you are now exploding, and it's congratulations. Like the things that I named, you have your own Netflix movie, The Good Place, which is also thriving. You have, Star Wars Rebels, and there's so many other projects out there. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It sounds so nice when you say it.
Are you one of those people who sometimes you're almost working too much and you don't realize everything?
I don't know if I'll ever work too much. I love to work. I want to work all the time. I like to, let's take a vacation in there sometimes, but I like to work. And so I don't know if you could say I will ever at any point say like, oh, I'm working too much. But yes, it's sort of like when you're in it, I don't sit there and go like, what am I doing right now? Oh, I am in, like, no, it's nice. It's just nice to hear like, oh, that sounds pretty busy.
It's always good, to take a step back and just to appreciate where you are in life and the hard work that has put you there.
Yeah, well, so thank you for reminding me. I appreciate it.
Well, the compliments are continuing, because I just watched Good Sam, and I love the movie because I used to be a news reporter, and so I just connected, and I'm very critical.
Okay.
And so I was watching the movie, and I was like, all right, how are they going to portray this? Is it going to be accurate? Is it not going to be accurate? It was well done.
Yeah, good.
I thought it was good.
I'm so glad.
Even down to, it's crazy to say, and I hope I communicate this the right way, like, you as the reporter, and then your cameraman, who was very much a cameraman. And
good.
That is exactly what it is.
He's my favorite.
You have the cameraman who doesn't want to be on air, doesn't care about, appearance as much, and making sure that everything is, tip-top shape.
Right. But he kind of keeps the whole, the ball rolling. But yeah. He's like kind of the crux of the whole operation.
Yep. Yeah. And even I won't give away major spoilers, but the start of the movie, when you're like sneaking off behind the line and trying to get the exclusive.
How accurate is that?
Oh, like that happens every time.
Oh, great.
You're trying to get places that you shouldn't be. You're talking it up. You had a line in the movie, I've done this before.
Yeah. I said, know the drill.
You know the drill. Yeah. That's exactly what that is.
You do the thing that you do to like create the, the distraction, and I go in and do what I do. Yep. Oh, good. I'm so glad.
Yeah, no, 100% accurate. And it's 100% of like, being in the news it's a go-between between the civilians and the professionals. because you are that go-between. You're communicating both sides to both parties. And so you're in this crux of like, you don't have to follow the rules, but you do. Like,
you do, but you don't, right?
You do,
like
but
you
you
do,
don't.
you're supposed to, but you don't, because
Yeah.
then how are you going to be the first to, get
exactly.
the story, right?
And so you're buddying up to these public officials, whether
Sure.
that's firefighters or police,
Sure.
and trying to get behind the do not cross
Yeah,
line.
yeah.
And it's like if there's a traffic jam, you're going on the side of the road and driving around. So did you research it all for that role, or how did you know what to portray?
Well, I will say, I mean, it's interesting talking to you since that was you, and so you know a lot more about this than I do. But I was sort of, I was a little daunted because I am a news junkie. I grew up watching. Well, when I was young, I didn't want to, but my parents watched the nightly news every night religiously, and so when I was a kid, I would like sort of unwillingly watch the news. And now as an adult, I'm like obsessed with the news. I watch the news all the time. I listen to the news in my car. So I'm always surrounded by like news reports.
Current events, yeah.
Yeah. And so, but then, suddenly playing a news reporter, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't want to do this wrong. I don't want anyone like you to sit down and go, that's not it. So I was like, okay, I got to get like, first of all, as an actor, staring down the barrel of the camera is it's like acting 101. Don't look into camera. So that was the first sort of disconcerting thing. And then also, there's like sort of a rhythm and like a cadence to your speech. And I just wanted to make sure I didn't do you guys dirty. So I
you did it well.
Okay, thank you. But yes, my research was basically like my whole life of like watching the news, and especially now as an adult, I think I realized, when you have a moment where you're like, oh, I'm an adult now. My moment was that I willingly, voluntarily watch the news all the time, and I'm no longer like, oh, why do we have to watch the nightly news? And I was like, oh man, I think I'm a grown up now.
Is it like your Twitter feed too is like filled with, and you're like, how did this get in? Okay, yeah, I'll look at it though. I want to know what's going on in the world. Yeah, it's not a bad. You're
I like to be well informed.
Thank you.
We should all be, better informed about what's happening in the world.
And if you can compartmentalize, which is a huge part of being in the news, you can compartmentalize it being like, I'm not going to let this negative news get to me, or this positive news really put me over the edge.
That's a struggle.
That's where it is.
Of late, it's like hard to keep. Yes, I think I posted a meme in the last year or so that said like I basically like walk on this like high wire, like walk this line of wanting to be well informed and then like wanting to save my own sanity.
Yep, 100%.
And you have to find that balance of like, you want to know what's going on, but you don't want to let it sort of bring you down. So that's a struggle.
And it's what your character in the show, in the movie, plays the bummer beat, which is a huge thing.
Is that a term that you've used before?
So I'm going to throw a term at you, see if you ever heard this. If it bleeds, it leads.
Oh yeah. No, yes, 100.
I was almost shocked that didn't make it into the movie, but I know that's like it's a interesting. It's not a very happy quote.
Yeah. We wanted to keep it like a movie that the entire family can watch together. So maybe they toss that out.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not. You're not wrong.
You start to just I don't know. You're very cynical to things. And you're like, oh yeah, well, and it's what your character shows is that, oh, why would there be good people?
Exactly.
Everyone has a motive.
Especially when for the character I play, Kate Bradley, her beat is the bummer beat. So she's out there reporting on robberies and murders and, catastrophic events. And so the idea that someone might be doing something without any hidden agenda is just beyond her. She's not willing to accept that.
Yeah, because you're constantly diving for the truth.
Right.
Which is great. Your co-star who plays Eric Bradley, Chad Connell, actually said that you guys had amazing chemistry. He was like, there was no way to fake it.
He's the best.
Do you agree? I mean, how was the chemistry on set?
Super easy. Like he's just, we immediately, you meet people and you're like, oh, we don't even, like, it feels like you're old friends. I was really lucky, that the person playing my love interest, or one of my love interests in the movie, we just like immediately clicked. Talked about, we were shooting in Montreal, which is amazing, and so basically most of our initial conversations were like, where'd you go out to eat last night? What about this restaurant? And so we like,
nice.
It's always nice to sort of like bond over eating and food.
It's an easy thing to bond over. Everyone eats.
Especially in a amazing city like Montreal with the most amazing food. But yeah, it was just a very easy sort of thing to act like we really liked each other, because we really do. He's great.
Awesome.
And now we're friends, which is the best when you get to lasting relationships after a shoot. It's always like the icing on the cake.
So the big question as we finished the movie was, there was, not all the ends were tied up. It kind of seemed like it was inching towards a sequel. So will we get to see that relationship continue? Will there be a sequel?
I sure hope so. I mean, there is a series of books, actually. So there is a book, Good Sam is based on a book by the same name by the author Deep Meserve. And then there's a second book in the series called Perfectly Good Crime, which, if someone wanted to make into a movie, I would happily do so. I don't want to give anything away, but the end of Good Sam sort of leads you into what would happen, or what happens in the book Perfectly Good Crime. So yeah, I mean, I would definitely be game to do that.
Is that a discussion among the actors and the cast and crew?
Yeah, it's like something like school where you're like, okay, well, I'll see you next year, but you're not sure, so you're like, maybe we'll see each other next year. Yeah. So anyway, knock on wood.
Yeah.
Knock on wood. We'll see what happens. It's up to the powers that be at Netflix, and the sort of logistics of the story, because in the book, it's based in LA, and I don't want to give
it's based in.
Well, in the book, it's based in LA.
Oh, in the book, okay.
And so there's some logistical things, but I also don't want to give anything away.
Yep,
so I'll
you're
just
fine.
Keep it at that.
Yeah.
But yes, hopefully we will make another one. That would be great.
That would be great. Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Again, if you guys haven't seen it, go to Netflix right now. It just came out. Go check it out. Good Sam, incredible. And also, while you're on Netflix, and if you're watching on your phone, go check out Tiya at Tiya Bird on Instagram and at Tiya Sircar on Twitter. And certainly, again, grateful to be here on the Popcorn Talk, at the Popcorn Talk on Instagram and on Twitter, and at the Only MC. You can follow me on Instagram and on Twitter. Again, we're also on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and Anchor, wherever you get your podcasts. If you guys want to listen in the car, and an easy way to support is just go click that like button, or give a comment, or rate 5 stars, or just be able to share it with a friend. We give this content to you guys for free. We're all about uplifting and positivity, and that's just an easy way that you guys can support us. Another one of the shows that you're in, The Good Place, was another one of my favorite shows. That is between season 3 and season 4 right now, but you guys, I think, are shooting season 4 right now?
Yes, season 4 is being shot. I am not allowed to say whether I have anything to do with that or not.
Yeah, you're totally fine. How have you seen that show evolve in terms of, I know the fans have really grasped on in the past couple seasons?
Yeah, it's been amazing. I have to say, I'm a huge fan of the show, which might sound weird. When people, I'll be at the grocery store and someone will say, I just have to tell you, I love The Good Place. And I'm a total weirdo, and I'm like, me too. And I know that's not, and people are like, oh, all right, that's a weird thing. But I truly am such a fan of the show. And so I'm so happy. I feel like season 1, people who watched the show were, instant fans of the show, because, I mean, without having nothing to do with my, connection to it, I just think it's brilliantly written, it's brilliantly acted, it's brilliantly directed. I mean, the whole show, it's genius.
The writing is great.
The writing is incredible.
Yes.
I'm a big fan. So, but I feel like it was only after Netflix picked up season 1, right before season 2 premiered on NBC, that suddenly people were like, what is this show? And I'm like, I know, guys.
Yeah.
You need to be watching this show. It's the smartest, funniest, kind of wittiest show. And it's also, the thing I love about it is that there are so many layers to the comedy. So sort of anyone can watch it and appreciate it. But I think if you go back and you pause, anytime Michael, Ted Danson's character, swipes up, a green screen that's imaginary, if you pause it and read what it says, those are the funniest jokes that you never hear, because it's just the brilliant writers coming up with ridiculous, insanely funny things that are just, only if you bother to go back and search for them, you're like, oh my gosh, that is comedy gold.
And there's so many references in there too to real life stuff.
Totally. You have to be kind of.
What is your favorite? Do you have a favorite that's been a reference? I know even I read the Blake Bortles keeps being referenced.
Oh my god. So I will not say who, but one of the cast members didn't know who Blake Bortles is, and that he was he's not anymore, right? But he was the QB of the Jaguars.
Jaguars,
yeah. They thought he was saying like a weird version of bottles, like when he throws the Molotov cocktail, which I find very funny.
It is genius, yeah. And Michael Schur is just an incredible creator.
He's an actual genius, and he just also happens to be the nicest person in the world. And I'm like, you're an anomaly. Like, how can you be so? And you work in Hollywood as an executive producer of huge, productions. He's the best. And I think that like the reason why people are always like asking for dirt on like what's Kristen Bell like, what's Ted Danson like, and everybody wants like something juicy, and I'm like, well, Ted Danson is the best human being on the face of the earth. Like, what do you want me to tell you? That's not what you want to hear, but it's the truth. Like, and I think it starts from Mike Schur being the best, and like it just sort of that energy.
It funnels down.
Yeah, totally. Like
Absolutely.
The cast is amazing. The crew is incredible. I have the best time on that show. I mean, it's like hard to even call it work.
Yeah, and that is definitely seen both on screen as well as like in social media promos and teases and stuff. You can just tell that everyone gets along. I even saw the other day, I forget who it was, posted something of Kristen Bell in a costume for season 4 in a like a demon with wings or a black costume.
No, she was watching the Game of Thrones, like it was a Game of Thrones watching party that she dressed up for. Which is even funnier.
We were like, I don't know how that ties into.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's just like totally non sequitur.
So she was for a Game of Thrones party?
Yeah. I think she was dressed as a dragon. Which is like a real commitment to a watching party. I really appreciate that.
It's a dedication.
Yeah. I mean, it truly is like, I think everyone is just so happy to be there. Actors, crew, everyone. And why wouldn't you be? It's the best. It's the best job.
Yeah, and again, the fans are showing their support was incredible. Another big fan favorite show, the Star Wars Rebels. I know, like the fans are obviously Star Wars is massive right now. I think Disney now is coming out obviously with their Star Wars parks
yesterday.
Is it? Wow.
Last night was the ribbon cutting.
Wow. Which is, it's awesome. I think that's like 1/3 of each of the Disney parks now is going to be
crazy.
Star Wars. How do you feel being a part of such a massive franchise?
I will say I think it's been 6 years since I got the job. And I will say it still is surreal to me. Like that I get to play a character. First of all, the character that I play, I respect and love so much. Again, like as a fan, so to get to like be a small part of like the impact she's had, that I've gotten to see like the impact that she's had on people of all ages and all kinds of backgrounds, and that's such an honor for me to get to have any kind of small part in that. But I mean, getting to be part of Star Wars is not a thing that actors, I think, anticipate will be part of their career at any point in time.
It's so massive.
So,
did you grow up watching?
I grew up. I watched the original trilogy when I was a kid, but I didn't really grow up in a Star Wars family, so I didn't really fully understand the scope of Star Wars. And then once I got this job, I was like, I want to learn everything I can. And let me just tell you, as you probably know, there is a lot to learn if you're starting. Yeah, it's a lot of homework, but it's also Star Wars. So you're like, it's the best kind of homework you can do. So I can say, like, I quickly became a full-fledged Star Wars fan as soon as I kind of got into the whole, like, Clone Wars, which is the show that was just before Star Wars Rebels, same creator, was available on Netflix right as I got this job. And so I just like binge watched Clone Wars, which was amazing. And then I went back and rewatched the original trilogy. And so there's a lot, but there's just like no dearth of Star Wars. So you can just keep kind of learning. And it's
still going too. It's
totally
not slowing down at all.
In fact, I think it's the opposite. It's like sort of ramping up and up and up.
Yeah. Disney, I think, is releasing a movie every other year. They're doing them now, but even starting in 2021, they're rotating with Avatar.
Oh, wow.
It's like every other.
Listen, for people who were on that 20-year drought,
now you're making up for it.
Yeah.
Will your character, Sabine, be in any of the new Disney, like The Mandalorian shows?
If I had my way. I have been not shy about how much I would love to reprise my role as Sabine, whether it's live action or animation. I love her. I love the way that our show ended. We ended after 4 seasons sort of because Dave Filoni, our creator and director, wanted to make sure we told the story we wanted to tell and got to end it on our terms, basically, and didn't want to run the risk of what happened with Clone Wars, which was that they sort of ended abruptly. And only now are they getting to finish their story, which I'm so happy for them that they can do that, and I'm really excited to watch. But yeah, I mean, the way that Rebels ended sort of leaves an opening to maybe potentially more storytelling for Sabine, and I would love to be a part of that. If I get to be, I would be so happy.
How are you? You said you made it known. Are you just on social media? Are you letting the right people in the executives?
I mean, I basically have told Dave Filoni many times, and he's probably really sick of hearing about it, which I don't blame him for. He's like, no, I know. I'll call you if it happens. And I'm like, you better. And he's like, no, I will. But yeah, people have asked me, and something weird happened a few months ago. I just responded to a tweet, what I thought was a very benign, sort of casual, yeah, I'd love to. And then it just Tiya Sircar wants to, claim stake over, and I'm like, no, I just want to. If it's a possibility, I would love to do it. And if there's an opportunity to get to be Sabine in any capacity, whether it's live action or whatever, I'm in.
Those 280 characters always getting us in trouble.
Always.
It's the,
You got to be careful.
You got to be careful. Well, you've been in so many amazing things. And again, it's only continuing as the shows continue. And, again, knock on wood, hopefully we have a good Sam sequel.
Thank you.
There was an article in Vulture about 1.5 years, 2 years ago that said Tiya Sircar is so good she needs her own show. And you obviously now have your own movie in Good Sam. Is that something that is always the goal of an actress or actor, and something that you're always paying attention to? You're rising the ranks and climbing the ladder to be able to get to that level of having your own show or program?
That's a really interesting question. I don't know if anyone's ever asked me that. I think for me, I want to play interesting characters that challenge me and whose story arcs I find interesting. And so in that, getting to be the lead character, you get to have there's more story to tell. And so while I love to play the character I play on The Good Place, there's only so much of the story she gets to tell. So yes, is that ultimate? I mean, it's not just about well, I just want to be the lead. I just want to be number one on that call sheet. I mean, that there are perks to that.
Obviously.
But I think it's about getting to tell more story and having sort of more scope to what you get to do and your involvement in the project. And so, yeah, I really appreciate that Vulture article. I remember now when you said, I was with my manager in San Francisco. I don't remember what we were doing. And we were actually in my hotel room, and she said, did you pay someone to write this? And I was like, what? And she handed me her phone. I said, did you pay someone to write this? And we were both like, no, but thank you. To the journalist that wrote that very kind piece. But yes, it is it's a way that you get to have more autonomy and sort of more influence on the storytelling aspect, which I would definitely not turn down.
Absolutely. And there is as you were saying, there is an art to playing the various roles of playing the lead, playing the supporting, playing the returning and recurring. All those have a role.
Totally.
And I think in all walks of life, whether that's in acting or in business or even in hosting, you always have a host and then a co-host or several co-hosts. And I think that is a difficult thing for a lot of people to know to own those roles.
Right. And to know sort of the dynamics and what the protocol is and sort of, yeah. But it's just, experience helps.
Yeah.
Being a co-star. So co-star is kind of when you just jump in and you're like, hey sir, can I have and then that's co-star, and then you do enough of those that you finally graduate to playing a guest star on shows. And then once you graduate from being a guest star, then you're recurring on shows. And then hopefully once you've done enough of those, you get to be a series regular on shows. And so yeah, there's definitely a process. And I've been lucky that I have had a lot of experience on set. So I sort of have learned by watching. I basically showed up on a set and I didn't know what I was doing. And I was like, okay, just be as open and, aware of what's going on around you, and just go with the flow and don't mess it up.
So what do you mean by that? You showed up, was this
my
a
very
specific
first job?
Okay.
Yeah, I can tell you what it was. I had just moved to LA, and I had a really hard time trying to, I showed up in LA. I'm from Texas. I moved to LA to be an actor. I didn't have any family or didn't know anyone in this town. I didn't know. I sort of showed up and I was like, well, now what? Here I am. And now what do I do?
Ta-da!
Yeah. So that's tough because, there is no formula that one follows to, okay, like if you do this and then you do this, this is the result.
Yep.
So anyway, it took me a little while to find an agent. And then once I found an agent, I was super lucky. I think I booked my first job a week after I signed with my agent. And that first job was Hannah Montana, which was awesome. It was great. I had a great time. I played a very sassy teenager named Natasha. And I remember I pulled onto the lot, and the lot that they used to shoot on faces the Hollywood sign. And there was a PA waiting for me to retrieve me from my parking spot and to take me to my trailer. And I was like, oh my God, it's done. I have arrived. And then it took a lot longer after that to get, sort of beyond that kind of level of what was happening. But anyway, I called my mom from my trailer and I was like, you're not going to believe this. It was a pretty cool moment. So I think I digressed. But
how did you were just learning from people?
Yeah. I mean, I had been acting since I was 7. I had been dancing since I was 2, and then I started acting when I was 7, and I started doing community theater or musical theater, taking acting classes along with dance classes. And then I did theater in high school, and then I got 2 degrees in college, one of which was a business degree, and then the other one was a theater and dance degree. But at no point did had I ever acted
actually
on
do
film.
The thing that you were training?
Well, for film specifically. I mean,
yes.
all of my training had been theater training. And I begged, when I was a kid, I begged my parents to let me get a commercial an agent in Dallas. I'm from a suburb of Dallas, and they were like, no, you can do that when you're an adult. And I'm glad. I mean, I had a very normal upbringing, and I have no regrets as far as them sort of keeping me from trying professional acting as a child. Probably a good call.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, I mean, when I showed up, I had never acted on film before. That's not true. I mean, in Austin, I went to college in Austin, and I did some smaller roles,
but nothing like a huge stage.
But not on a TV show.
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted to do. I want to do all of it, but I wanted to be on TV, and so it was definitely very much a learning experience, and there is a lot going on, and there's a lot of jargon that if you've never done it before, you don't know it. So yeah, my goal was to not screw anything up, stay out of everyone's way, learn as much as I could, just be a sponge. And yeah, I mean, it doesn't happen overnight, obviously. You got to kind of keep at it. And, but that's how everyone learns. There's no here TV show school. I mean, you can get an RTF degree, I suppose, but that's still not the same as actually being on a set and learning how learning the ropes.
Yeah, and people understand that too. I think on set, they know.
I think so.
Yeah, and they're helping you out along the way.
My parents are both professors, and my parents have come and visited me on location and in LA on various jobs, and my dad, every time, which is very sweet. He's always like, I am always in awe of how kind everyone in your industry is. Across the board, people think, oh, it's Hollywood, it's cutthroat, people are nasty, and there's, people berating you. And he says every time that they come, across the board, whether it's above the line, below the line people, everyone is kind and polite and respectful. And I guess maybe I feel lucky that I have gotten to work on jobs like that. But I think it's nice to hear him say that, because he's coming from a very third-party perspective, just kind of dipping in and going, this is a very positive environment.
Well, especially Texas to California too is definitely a very different dynamic.
Yeah.
2 years old? You were dancing?
Yeah, my mom was my first dance teacher. She was a dancer and a choreographer, and so I grew up. My sister's 4 years older than me, and we grew up dancing together.
Do you remember dancing? What dances are you doing at 2? Is that just like jumping?
Listen, I asked my mom the same thing. So my first dance rehearsal was I was 2.5, and I have a 2-year-old niece. My sister has a 2-year-old daughter who is much smarter than I am now, probably. She's like super smart, and I'm like, what choreography is she learning? Like, what did I do? Did I just get up there? But I will say that, so my mom, my parents are from India, and so my first dance that I ever learned how to do was Indian folk dance and Indian classical dance. So apparently, I have a picture. I've heard this story many times, but I have a picture. I'm like all decked out in my like red and gold Indian outfit, and I'm very small because I'm 2.5. And apparently I did my dance on stage, and then my mom had given me her like real 24 karat gold, large, very expensive earrings, because Indian dancers are sort of, there's
You're
lots
decked
of
out.
jewelry happening. And apparently I walked off the stage, took the earrings off because they were very heavy, and I left them on the stairs, and I left, and my mom came to find me, and she was like, where are the earrings? And I was like, I don't know, they were heavy. I took them off. And she like ran back, and luckily she discovered the earrings. But this is why you don't give a 2.5-year-old like precious gems. Anyway, so I don't know what the dance was like, but she swears, and she's not the kind of mom that sort of unnecessarily gives, her compliments, she means them, because they're few and far between. But I appreciate that, because I don't.
Makes you appreciate it.
Yeah, like, and also I know when she says it, she means it. Same for both of my parents, actually. But yeah, she says that it was a dance. There was choreography. I did it.
There was movement.
I believe her, because she would have told me if I was just like spinning around like a weirdo. But
you always had that entertainment bug, whether that was dancing or film.
Always. When I was a kid, this is so embarrassing and not cool at all, but I would like do like skits and impressions for my at family parties, like dinners and things. And I had a Steve Urkel impression. Like I would go upstairs, put on know.
No.
Put on suspenders and like do the thing, and I would like it's not.
Let's hear the line.
No.
No. Come on.
Did I do that? I mean, I haven't done it in like a couple decades, but oh boy. Yeah. So yes, I mean, if anyone's like, oh, when did you know you wanted to be an entertainer for a living? Probably from when I started walking, I guess.
See, when you went to college and you got the theater degree, but you also did one in business. Why?
Well, so my parents, who are both PhD professors and have lots of degrees between the two of them, they never, surprisingly, because it's not like they're like live and let live. I'm surprised that they never said like you should probably get a degree in, but they never did.
Oh, that wasn't.
Yeah. Well, here's why. I thought, I know what I'm gonna do after this. After I graduate, I'm gonna move to LA and try and be an actor in Hollywood, and who knows how that will go. So what if I never have an opportunity to make my parents proud again? So I better get like a degree that I feel like they will feel like they want to put up on their wall in a hallway somewhere at their house. And I was like, well, I could get a degree in marketing. That seems like there could be some overlap.
Tie over, yeah.
Also, I was like, what's the business degree that uses the least amount of math? And by the way, it's not marketing. There's a lot of math in marketing.
Yes.
I was like, what is this? I thought it was, I should have. In retrospect, I didn't really have any business being in the business school. My friends now, so I had 2 degrees, and so now I had like kind of 2 different lives in college, because I was doing like, stage productions and dancing and whatever in a dance company, and then I was also like in a business frat.
Yep.
I don't know why, because all my friends in the business school were in the business frat, and now those guys are all like running hedge funds, they're investment bankers, and I legitimately don't really know what they do for a living. But I took the same classes. Not for me.
The foundation. You're just not
do I know? I don't know if I do. I should.
Have you ever used that in a role or in like to develop something, or do you see that being used?
I think it's, look, if you have a background in marketing, perhaps, my manager always tells me that I have a very, like, I'm not like a typical, I don't know what a typical actor is, but for her, she says, like, you're kind of like more.
You have a plan.
I guess.
Okay.
That might just be because of my type A personality. I don't know if it has anything to do with my business degree, but I'm definitely. She says I'm much more type A than your normal actor. I'll take that for what it is.
When you got done with the Hannah Montana, so you moved out to LA, your first job, Hannah Montana. Did you actually see Miley Cyrus? Was she actually there?
Yeah, she was so sweet. She couldn't have been nicer.
Awesome.
It was like 2 seconds before she hit like international superstardom. So when I met her, I didn't really even know who she was. I kind of vaguely knew of this character, this Disney show. And then like 3 months later, I was like, yeah. She was like, but she was very sweet.
When you got, I mean, you booked that in a week.
After I got my agent.
You got your agent.
There was like some pavement pounding first.
Let's talk about the pavement pounding. I love talking about the pavement pounding. Man. How long was the pavement pounding?
I was in LA for a year and I could not find an agent. You can't really work without any representation. Like you can try, which is what I kept doing, but it was so hard. And I finally, like I was saying, everyone has a different path. And so this isn't like the thing that one should do. It's just the thing that I happened to do, and it worked out for me. A lot of people come to LA and start taking acting classes, and I've been taking acting classes. Not to say that I didn't need them, but I had just been taking classes for so long, and I thought, okay, they're very expensive. I only have this much money saved up. Like, what's the smartest move here? And so I thought, okay, well, I heard about these casting director workshops, which are things that casting directors... Sorry, let me start over. There are casting director workshops, but I had heard that it's like a little... It's not for everyone, because you're basically paying for someone to see you that maybe should be seeing you anyway, and so there's like...
It's politics.
Yeah. And then I heard... So I hadn't quite done any of those things yet, because I wasn't sure what move to make. And then I heard about these talent agent showcases. And I thought, okay, well, what I really, really need and want is an agent. Otherwise, I'm not going out for things and kind of just stagnating. And so you pay money, and on a weekend, like a Saturday afternoon, you go and you do a scene or a monologue in front of a couple talent agents who are open to signing new clients. And I went to one, and I had prepared, at the time I was playing, like I was an adult, but I was playing like 16 years old, Hannah Montana. Yeah. So I picked something that, I thought was good for me. Like it was like funny, it was comedy. It was like an older sister trying to get her younger brainy sister to do her science project for her. It was pretty like light and but fun and funny. Yeah. And I get to this showcase, and you're supposed to go like voluntarily, like people just volunteer to go, and people are doing Shakespeare. They're doing
like serious. I
mean, people are crying. There's like some serious subject matter, and I'm like, I have to go. I cannot do my mom. Like, I am so embarrassed that this is what I didn't know. Like, I just was like, this is good. This is funny. I can be funny doing this. Yeah. And so I was like, I can't do it. And so I was second to last, and I was like, Tia, you paid a lot of money at the time for me, a lot of money. You got to just get up and do it. So I got up and did it, and I sat down, and I was sitting right behind where the agents were sitting, and the lights came up after the last person went, and the agent turned around and gave me his card and said, call me on Monday. I want to set up a meeting. And I was like, what?
You like
this worked? Did you hear what I was talking about? Because it was not Shakespeare by a mile. And that he became my first agent.
Wow.
And I got my first job a week later on Hannah Montana. So, it's funny how things work. That's the way it worked for me. But
did you move out to LA with a set amount of money saved?
Yeah. So after I graduated college, my parents were like, you should not move to LA without any money. You should get a job, like a job, a real job, and save up a nest egg, as my dad called it many times. It's like seared into my memory.
Heard that a time or two.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm so glad they did, because I did. I waited like maybe 6 months and got a job and saved up money so that I wouldn't have to show up and immediately start to like find a, like a waiting tables
or be
whatever.
able to work 30 hours a week, so you have 10 hours or 20 hours free to be able to do what you want. Yes.
So that for me was clutch, I thought, to so thanks Mom and Dad for insisting that all I wanted to do was like hurry up and get out to LA.
Yep.
And,
they see the big picture and the puzzle.
Yeah. So yeah, that was hugely helpful to not come out here with $10 in my pocket and try and like make ends meet.
Make something, yeah. How did you make ends meet that first year? Were you working odd jobs? Was there?
I showed up in LA and I didn't have any friends and I didn't know anyone and
Great start to a story. This is a great.
It was sad. I spent a lot of time solo that first year. But I had this like amount of money saved up, which was great. But I basically showed up and I was like, I don't have anything to do. How do I meet people? How do I like get out there? What do I do? And I knew a guy that I had gone to high school and college with, but had never really hung out with. And I just emailed him and I was like, hey, do you want to be friends? And he ended up being one of my best friends. And he was like, why don't you come work he was a server at this restaurant in Beverly Hills. And he said, why don't you come be a hostess? Like there's tons of like agents that come to lunch during the weekdays. And it's just like a high traffic area. It's where the Clueless steps are, if anyone knows where that is. And I thought, well, what else am I doing? So I got a job working as a hostess in Beverly Hills, which I didn't do that for very long because then thankfully I got my agent and I mean, I was so fortunate that I started working kind of right after I signed with him and kept working. So that's, was great. But yeah, I mean, you got to do what you got to do, right?
It's the hustle.
Yeah. And I'm just glad that I had saved that money initially so that it wasn't a dire situation. It was sort of like, okay, so, I have that to work off of, and then I can, continue trying to do what I'm trying to do.
It's amazing how those little roles those little jobs, not roles, jobs like that, like being the hostess, doing, people do background, or I spent like 2 days, I painted a house. Actually, it was supposed to be 2 days. It ended up being like 5 days painting this house. Isn't that always
the way? Yeah.
It was a disaster. But it's those kind of jobs that make you appreciative of where you are now and the whole journey, but they also like you can relate to people because of that.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, people. I feel lucky that people have had to do all kinds of things like that they don't, like scrubbing bathrooms and whatever. But you if you want something bad enough, I mean, this is how people are like, oh, was there anything else you wanted to do? And I guess I'm fortunate in that there was nothing else that would have fulfilled me in a way as what I'm doing. So for me, there was no like, well, I could be an accountant or I would try my hand at acting. It's like, it was always going to be this. And so that's sort of a luxury in that there's nothing else. Like, you're just going to keep at it and keep at it.
And it's beneficial not to have a plan B.
I think so. Because if you have a plan B, do the plan B, because this is not easy.
It makes it easier. If you have that fallback plan, if you have it and it's too close, then it's like, okay, I'll just do it.
Well, I'll just do it. And also, for the first like several years, my mom would call, definitely on my dad's behalf, and say, well, why don't you just, in your free time, why don't you just get an MBA at UCLA? Get an MBA at UCLA in your free time while you're trying to be an actor in Hollywood. And I was like, guys,
God bless them, though. It's the parents who care that are still.
They care so much. I love them so much. Oh yeah.
They're still
Oh yeah.
Yep. Are you okay on money? Are you okay
always.
This month?
Have
Is everything?
Eaten? We were 3 hours, 3 hours time difference, and my mom would call at like 4:45 p.m. my time and be like, "What? Have you eaten dinner?" I'm like, I live in California, not yet. And she'd be like, "Oh, right."
Your first couple roles, even after that, it wasn't even just going from like Hannah Montana and now you're in these, co-star. I was looking up on IMDb. You have the role of, quote, running bear on Acceptable TV.
Yep.
Student 1 on House.
For sure.
Doctor number 2 on Moonlight.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Do you remember those days? And like, were you thrilled getting those roles?
Absolutely. That was yes. Like, I mean, it was all sort of like, like you were saying, do you want to be the lead on a show? Of course. But like, I had just moved here. I had just gotten an agent. I was doing what I came here to do. And were those roles like meaty, fully fleshed out roles? No. But
someone's got to be Doctor Number 2.
But was I getting to do what I've always wanted to do since I was basically born? Yes. And so I am, I was so grateful to be working on a TV, on a set, making a TV show. And it was always, like, okay, so it's a means to an end, right? So, I mean, there is no end, right? I guess that's the other thing. Like, there is nothing that I would suddenly go, I'm done. You know what? I'm good.
Next.
Yeah.
Now it is time to get that MBA from UC.
Right. Actually, now's the time, Mom. No. So yeah, it's always like building on what you've done and what's next for me anyway. I mean, I just want to keep working until they don't let me work anymore.
What was your attitude during, such like 5-10 years even, before a really well-known project? Was your attitude just to learn everything along the way? Whenever you go to a set, no matter what role you're playing, I'm picking up various things.
Yeah. And also, I mean, I think for me specifically, I think the time between when I got here and now, the landscape of Hollywood has changed so much, and the types of roles someone like me is considered for and gets are so wildly different. I mean, I think that makes a big difference in, like, back, say, 7 or 8 years ago, I was going up for the lead role on The Good Place, let's say. Nobody went up for that. That was Kristen's, but I'm just using it as an example. Yep. And invariably it would go to a Caucasian actress. Like, and it still does. There's still a lot of times that instances where that happens. But there's also times like Good Sam where this role, it's a book that was written. Her name is Kate Bradley. By no means does it necessarily make sense for it to be me, but they called me and said, do you want this role? And I was like, absolutely. So I think that also plays a difference or makes a difference in sort of the types of roles and the size of roles that I was playing then. But it's still, you got to pay your dues, I think. I mean, not everyone does. Some people just go like, oh, I showed up and I booked. I think I've read that like Ashton Kutcher booked that 70s show on like his third day in LA, and I'm like, well,
yep. Great. I think the story was he was like at a bar and got noticed or something.
I mean, but great for them. It is a little bit like, but I've been here, but absolutely not. Everyone has a different path. Yeah. And it takes all kinds.
And I say, no matter how successful someone is, there has been a time where they've wanted to quit.
Definitely.
Whether it's a terrible day at work or in between seasons of that 70s show or whatever.
Wait, I just said definitely. I have never wanted to quit.
No, I mean like wanted to
like give up, like it's too much. It's too much. Yeah. I wanted to be clear. I was like, wait, I've never wanted to quit.
No, quit in terms of like I want to be done for just a second, whatever.
Totally, I know what you mean. Things can be overwhelming. This business is overwhelming, and
very much so.
And every day you deal with rejection every single day, and so it does take a lot. And one thing that my mom told me, I guess I was a softie, or I am a softie. I don't feel like that, but she has said recently that she is amazed that I like was able to grow such a thick skin so fast, because you have to. I mean, out of self-preservation, like, because you're getting told no and doors are slamming in your face every day, and it's only few and far between when it's a yes. It's usually a no more often than not. And so you got to just sort of like, in whatever way you can, be prepared or just come to terms with it. That's part of it, and then do the best you can.
And one of the things I've realized recently is you have 100% like brain power. And if you spend 25% on that, just being angry at things that have already happened, that only leaves 75% to move forward.
You're right.
And other people are spending 100%. So you're automatically 25% putting yourself behind if you're doing that.
And you're also not able, so you're not able to fully commit to, even the 75% is still like, can you fully commit to what you need to be doing? Or are you just sort of festering about? And I mean, some projects I really, it's hard for me to move past that, like if there's something that I really wanted and I thought it was going to go my way, it takes me a little while. But for the most part, you just kind of got to keep chugging along because there's more out there, and it might be yours.
What role, looking at what roles are out there, what role would you love to play, or a genre that you would love to play?
I would love, I grew up dancing. I would love to get to play a role where I could combine dancing and acting. I've never gotten to do that before. I mean, I was in musical theater. I was in musicals as a child. But yeah, for film or for a TV show, if I could do something where I played a dancer or like La La Land, I mean, dream job.
Oh. Where's La La Land 2? Where's that going to...
Seriously.
That movie was incredible.
And can I be in it?
Yeah. What do you consider to be the definition of success?
Gosh, that's a hard one. I think a few things. Happiness. Do you feel happy and content, or do you feel frustrated? I mean, if you feel like you've gotten somewhere and you feel content with where you are, that's a huge part of success. Also setting a goal for yourself. I mean, I think my goals are always shifting. Like I remember now when I had a goal of just like wanting, this is embarrassing. I don't know why I'm telling you this. On IMDb, which is the Internet Movie Database, I wanted, okay, I really should not be telling this. It's so embarrassing.
Just spill it.
There's a news section so if you go to Tiya Sircar, there's all of my TV credits, my movie credits, live appearance credits, and then there's like other stuff, like people put you in lists, like 25 South Asian American, whatever, like movie stars or TV actors or whatever. And then there's a news section, which is just about projects that you're doing and that like are on Deadline or The Hollywood Reporter or whatever. And I just wanted to get a job that warranted a news article. I just wanted to populate that section of my IMDb page. And so it feels like a long time ago, but like there's my goals are constantly shifting. Like I was saying, when I was a co-star, I was just doing co-star roles. I just wanted to graduate to guest starring roles and et cetera, et cetera. So, I mean, I feel like success is so intangible, but I feel like if you feel content and you feel proud of what you're doing and how far you've come, but you're not done yet and you feel like there's still more to do. I mean, I feel like I will never, like I said, I won't be at a place where I'm like kicking up my feet.
Yeah.
Like, all right, I did it. I did what I came to do.
Next.
Yeah. So it's a hard one, but I feel like surrounding yourself with good people, whether it's your family or your chosen family, the people that you work with, and doing the best you can every single time you show up, never phoning it in.
Have you grown to appreciate patience? I know, like when you mentioned the 6 months, I think, when you graduated before moving out to LA, your parents made it.
Chomping at the bit.
Yeah. Have you grown to appreciate it?
Yes, I think. I mean, some of that is just getting older, but also this industry, there is so much out of your control. I mean, you can. There's an audition that you want so badly, you prepare so much for it and you get in there and you nail it. You feel like whatever you wanted to do, you did it in the room. There's nothing else you can do. But then there are so many other factors that have nothing to do with you or your talent or your abilities or even like what you did, in the room that day. And it's all a waiting game. So it forces you to you can't be impatient because it's so not up to you. All you can do is show up and do the best you can and then hope for the best. Yeah. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't.
And that's that 100%. Yeah. The 100% has to be focused on moving forward.
Totally. And I mean, it's easier said than done, right?
It's so much easier said than done.
You're right. Do I do it every time? No, but you're right. And then there's sometimes that I'm like, sort of dwelling on something that I didn't get. And I have to now I'll remember your 75%, 25% analogy because it's like, what's the point? Like, it's done. And there's so much more work to do. So let's focus on that and get rid of that.
Yeah, there's just so much ahead. What advice would you give for, the young actresses and actors out there? Or if you were looking back of you when you first moved to LA, what would you say to yourself?
I would say a few things. I would say one is know your craft. I think there are plenty of people who show up and go, that looks fun, or like I want to be famous, or I want to like be on TMZ and like whatever. Like that's the wrong deal, because it's so hard that if that's your only sort of goal is to sort of be famous, there has to be sort of more substance. So I would say hone your craft as best you can. Be relentless. Like just don't let, because there are going to be so many naysayers, and you can't, if you trust in your own ability, and if you trust in your talent, and you know how badly you want it. For me, there was no other option. Like that, this is all I wanted. And so I was just going to keep going. I mean, there was not going to be a time where I'm like, well, I guess I should probably go home now. And some people do have that journey. And for them, I think maybe this wasn't the thing that they were meant to do. Maybe they thought it was, and now they're hopefully doing the thing that they were meant to do. But I would say, keep at it. Don't let naysayers discourage you, because there will be so many. And it's going to happen. You just, again, and like, I don't know how to grow a thick skin, but I guess I did it. I think you just do it out of necessity. That helps, because otherwise you're going to get your feelings hurt a lot. And you still will, but you just have to learn that it's not you. It's not you. It's not that you're not pretty enough or tall enough or, whatever, talented enough. It's that, like, there was already a brunette and now they want it to be a blonde girl. And so there's just like puzzle pieces that you have nothing to do with.
What doesn't get you a job today will get you a job tomorrow.
Totally.
And what gets you a job today will not get you a job. Like, it's
totally. And then there's also things where like things come around, and Hollywood is a strange and wonderful place. Strange. And there are things that like didn't happen. I will tell you a funny story, I guess. It's funny. I auditioned for The Good Place. I auditioned to be Honey, and it was not good. Like, not good. I mean, I can say that with full confidence. I never saw the tape, but it could not have been good. And then I saw Jamila play Tahani, and I'm like, well, that's perfect. That is perfect. Yep. And I couldn't be mad about that. Like, when you see someone that's that perfect for a role, and, yes, did I want to be a series regular on The Good Place from the get-go? Of course. When I watched the first episode, was I like, oh, that makes much more sense.
You appreciate her in that role. Totally.
And then halfway through season 1, I get a call saying, like, do you want to come play real Eleanor? I mean, you never know how things are going to work out. And even if they don't work out to begin with, like, I'm pretty happy with how that worked out.
It's worked out quite well. The final question that I love asking people is, in 50, 75, 100 years, when people look back on your life and are maybe watching The Good Place, or they're watching Good Sam, or watching another thing that you will be in, and they maybe turn to their friend and like, oh, hey, look, that's Tiya Sircar. And they're like, oh, who is that? And they say, oh, she was blank. What do you want people to say about your career, your life? How do you want people to answer that question?
I would hope that they thought I was funny, thought I did good work outside of acting, that I cared about the environment and about animals and about people and about my community, and that I was, sort of like used whatever platform I might have for good. And I hope that they'll say, oh, that was that girl that used to sing and dance and act in that movie or on that TV show, because that's sort of like what I hope to do at some point. But yeah, just that I had like a long career of memorable, funny roles, and that I wasn't just known for being an actor, but maybe also as like an activist.
I love that. And I see in your future you're going to be able to have something where you can act and dance and sing.
I mean, I just threw that in there. Let's go dance, act, and then sing is sort of here-ish.
There you go. Something on Broadway, maybe.
Sure. Are there other people sort of also singing at the same time?
Yeah, of course.
Great.
Yeah, would it be a part of, like, obviously
like
when
La La
Land 2, it's like one of the big dance numbers.
Yeah. I'm in.
100%. Thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you for
having me. This has been an
me.
incredible 45 minutes we've been talking. It's awesome.
Thank you.
I've learned so much. And thank you for just your authenticity.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for what you do. And I was just thinking as we were talking about Good Sam, like, you're a good Sam. You're doing good and helping people and making an impact. And
thank you.
Yeah, that's sort of a nice kind of synergy between the movie that I'm here to talk about and what you actually do in real life.
It's great. If you guys have not seen Good Sam, go see it right now on Netflix. Even if you don't have Netflix, 30-day free trial. Just go use a fake email and get on there. Go watch Good Sam. It's incredible. And guys, while you're on that social media, make sure you go follow Tia at Tiya Bird on Instagram, at Tiya Sircar on Twitter. Tiya Bird, what's the quick story?
Tia is a bird. I'm named after a little bird. When it chirps, it sounds like it's saying Tia, Tia, so it's called a Tia Bird.
Oh, that's incredible. Just another fun fact. I absolutely love that. Guys, thank you so much for tuning into another episode of I Could Never Be Here on the Popcorn Talk Network, at the Popcorn Talk Instagram and on Twitter. And if you'd like to follow me, at the Only MC on Instagram and on Twitter. And again, we're available wherever. We're here on YouTube. We're also available on Apple iTunes and podcasts and Spotify and Anchor. And you know what? Anywhere where you want to be able to watch this, you can go find us. Just search go search I Could Never Be on Popcorn Talk Network. Guys, thank you so much. One more episode left in season 5. We'll see you then.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.